In the ruins of an Imperial world, the agents of chaos prepare for yet another battle in the name of their profane masters. The blood-soaked beasts of the Fellgor Ravagers bellow primal war chants of rage, fury, and hatred as they rush blindly into battle. Preparing for the onslaught, the hedonistic zealots of Slaanesh screech perverse devotions, promising pain and suffering to their dark master. Will the Fellgor Ravagers lay waste to the disturbed cultists, or will the zealots of the Dark Prince bless their victims with a beautifully painful and agonizing demise?
Hey there guys, Blaine here. Welcome back to another battle report from us at Six-Sided Legion. This battle was recorded prior to the most recent balanced data slate, but fair warning, it's still a good one nevertheless. We decided it was time for a summary match of what the Summer of Melee brought to us, and that led me to bringing the feared Chaos Cultists in today's showdown. I have no operative selection here, so the 5 Dark Commune and 10 Devotees are what I get. For equipment, I decided to take 3 covert guises on devotees, a crack grenade on one, and a trophy weapon on a 4th devotee without a guise.
Welcome over to the GOAT side of things, everybody. I'm Brett. I'm going to be playing Fellgor today. I have the pretty standard roster here. I have every specialist. I'm taking a frag grenade on my Gorehorn, a crack grenade, and corrupted rounds on the Gnarl Scar for that shooting into combat spiciness. And then I'm taking 2 corrupted weapons, one on the Toxhorn and one on the Icon. And today for our mission, we are playing capture on the front line layout. At the end of each turning point, whoever has the most APL on each point will hold them until the opponent can neutralize it. Alright, I'm going to be defender for today's game, and here come the barricades. And into placing my first group, first going to be the Death Knell, getting ready to get on this far point, my Iron Horn in the middle of the board, and my Flux Spray on the far right.
My first group for deployment was both Blessed Blades and 3 normal devotees, nothing special there.
Group 2, we have the Toxhorn backing up the Death Knell on the left, the Shaman going down the middle, and the Vandal right next to his side looking on that right point.
My second group for deployment was my Psyker, which is the Dark Commune Mind Witch, as well as 4 devotees, one equipped with a trophy weapon.
And final herd of goats going down. I've got the Gnarl Scar with his crack grenade and his corrupted rounds on the left, herd goat in the Gorehorn with his frag in the middle of the board, and then the Mangler looking to give some backup on that right side.
My third and final group was the rest of the Dark Commune models, including the Iconarch and the Cult Demagogue, as well as the 3 remaining devotee models with covert guises.
With everything placed, we're going to move into the scouting step. I'm going to choose recon for that free dash, and Blaine's going to take infiltration so he can change an order. And with that, Blaine chooses to give me the initiative for turning point 1. For my scouting dash, I'm just going to move my herd goat over onto my back point. Next up, Blaine is going to resolve all of his covert guise equipment on his cultists, starting with the one on the left side, moving underneath this building next to this door. Next up, he's going to move this cultist up onto his back point. And finally, the cultist on the right with the crack grenade up behind the building.
Alright, here we go. Melee Fest Extravaganza. I don't expect this first turning point to be super interesting, especially for myself. I have nobody engaged or anything like that. I'm not expecting to get into anything. My goal is basically just move up. I want to get 3 points. The only concern I really have about keeping me off a point is maybe his guy with a crack grenade, but I think I might be able to stay out of its range. We'll see. I would like to set up my 3 guys who could potentially get double kills in the second turning point in decent spots. So they have the opportunity to do that, as well as maybe get those grenades in a good spot. I would like to try to use the Toxhorn last, so I can just throw that Pox Bomb at as many guys as possible. But we'll see what he gives me. And realistically, it might depend too, because it's going to depend on where he mutates. that is the thing that concerns me the most, I guess, is where he mutates, because he can, you know, put them wherever he really needs them. So I think this is going to be a tricky game. This could very well also just be a dice game, because there's going to be a lot of melee. So it's going to be really hard. There's going to be very little shooting. So I think we're just going to have to see. This first turning point is going to go pretty quick. And then second turning point, hopefully I'll have a little bit more of a solid plan. And hopefully I'll be feeling all right going into it. So we'll see you guys then.
Hey there, guys, going into turning point 1 here. I'm pretty excited. It's cult on Fellgor, and that can only mean one thing, and it's bloodbath turning point 2. So this is going to be a really quick turning point 1. I think we're both just going to be moving up. I did take my free dashes with my equipment in hopes of maybe getting a crack grenade off in the first turning point, or at least starting it, as well as keeping the icon bearer engaged. And I'm going to be mutating that other devotee on the left-hand side to start with, to see if I can maybe get a mutant up in engagement range right away. So we'll see what happens. I'm just going to get on objectives and put bodies in places and not get fragged in the first turning point here. So we'll see how it goes. Going into the strategy phase of the first turning point, Brett uses Call of the Herd with his leader to dash all of the goats on the left-hand side of his deployment. I then mutate one devotee on the left-hand side of my deployment. And for the accursed gift for my mutants and torments, I decide to do Fleet, which is 1 extra inch of movement added to their characteristic.
Alright, with all the fancy stuff out of the way, my first activation is going to be super simple. Just going to be taking my Vandal, move dashing up onto this point, and blocking this doorway.
My first activation for this turn is a devotee blocking the door, and the second devotee moving onto Brett's objective right behind him.
Next up, my Gnarl Scar is going to move behind the barricade on this point and just chill out.
My second activation is both far left devotees are going to move and dash onto the closest objective next to them.
Blaine has tempted me with a juicy potential double kill for the next turning point, so the Mangler is going to move dash over to the corner of this column and wait patiently.
The third activation for me is going to be the middle devotee moving up to the column, and the second GA2 devotee with the trophy weapon moves and dashes onto the rightmost objective to my deployment.
The Shaman's going to reinforce my APL on this right point. He's going to move dash over onto it and set himself up to support this area for the next turning point.
My fourth activation is going to be a devotee moving to intercept the Vandal on the opposite side of the door, and gets followed up by the devotee moving onto the barricade in the middle.
Now the Gorehorn's going to move himself behind the barricade, getting himself within charge range of a couple of Blaine's guys in the middle.
My fifth activation is going to be the first of the Blessed Blades on the right, moving forward onto the rightmost objective.
Not wanting to be too greedy, the Death Knell is now just going to move on to this point and support the Gnarl Scar.
My sixth activation is the leader, moving and mutating the devotee staged on the column.
The Herd Goat's then going to reposition just a little bit, staying on the edge of the center point, and he's going to whip the Gorehorn, giving him a third APL.
My next activation is my Mind Witch, moving and placing the Malefic Vortex token near Brett's deployment to deal some mortal wounds to the Death Knell, Gnarl Scar, and Toxhorn. The Toxhorn proceeds to fail on his Feel No Pain of 6+.
Now the Ironhorn's going to reposition himself onto this middle point, keeping himself open to a couple different options for the Call the Herd in the next turning point.
The second Blessed Blade follows this up by moving very cautiously into the corner of the walls and within 6 of his brother.
Alright, time for some Pox Bomb magic here. The Toxhorn's going to move forward into a spot where he can throw his Pox Bomb in between the 2 devotees, one on the point and the one with the crack grenade behind the building. I'm looking for a 3 up here to get the stun on these guys, a 5 up to do 3 mortal wounds as well. For the first devotee, the one on the point, I do get the 5, doing 3 mortal wounds and stunning him. And then on the one that I cared about a little bit more, the one with the crack grenade, I do only roll a 1, so nothing's going to happen to him this time.
My next activation is my Iconarch moving and deploying Ruinous Invigoration, aka the damage reduction aura, on the objective within 4 inches of the devotees on the barricade.
Trying to keep the Flux Spray a little bit more flexible for the next turning point, I'm just going to move him onto the corner of this column and on the edge of this point.
Finally, the devotee with the crack grenade sees its opportunity to deal some damage. I move him up and throw the crack grenade at the Toxhorn. I roll a normal hit and a crit, and fail a CP reroll. Brett rolls his defense saves, and miraculously saves both with critical saves. The devotee is sad. My final activation for the turning point is my mutant moving and dashing to set up for a turn 2 charge.
And at the end of the turning point, it's going to be a big surprise, a big 3-3 split here on the primaries. And I am actually going to be revealing my faction tac op, Relentless Aggression. I just need to have 5 of my guys within 6 inches of Blaine guys to get 1 VP, do it again in another turning point for another. Pretty obvious pick in this matchup. So at the end of the first turning point, it is going to be a total of 3-4 in Fellgor's favor. Into the initiative roll, Blaine is breaking ties, I get a 2, he gets a 5. Going to be Blaine's initiative for the second turning point.
So coming out of the first turning point here, it was pretty uneventful, like we assumed it would. I failed a crack grenade, and that kind of sucks because I wish I would have at least gotten some damage on that goat, because it's going to be a little harder for that Blessed Blade to try to kill it the first couple activations here. I also noticed something that I kind of left open, and where that Blessed Blade and that crack grenade was, or were, I kind of left room for a goat to come in that door. So I hope Brett doesn't really realize that, and maybe doesn't get like a double kill with the dude with the frag grenade, because he can double fight with an extra APL. So maybe that happens, maybe it doesn't. I don't think it's gonna happen. I think he's gonna try to set up for a frag grenade somewhere. I gave him a couple of options, but I did position my icon in a way to give some of that potential some damage reduction. On top of that, I blocked a door that I think might come into play this turning point, but I feel like I positioned my lesser threats earlier in the turning point a little too safe, and didn't really have aggressive spots for my actual threats late in that turning point to be placed. So we'll see how it goes. My overall plan here is to try to get a route kill, maybe with a torment. And then try to double fight and get two goats dead, and sacrifice a torment to do so by frenzying them both. Otherwise, we'll see how it goes. I might roll poorly. Who knows? We'll just have to see. Okay, turning point 1 pretty much went the way I expected it to. A lot of moving. I'm sure that was exciting to watch. I feel like I'm sitting all right. The crack grenade throw, I got super lucky. That was sweet. I am now going to set up, I am set up really well for the reveal of my other tac ops, Eliminate Guards and Executioner. Thinking I can probably get 2 points for them right now. But for 1 for each. And I'm just going to see what Blaine does first. I'm guessing it's probably going to be 2 torments coming in. You know, if it's 1, that's fine. Honestly, the mutants aren't too scary with a team like Fellgor. They have really good melee already, so it's not really like they're not that scary, I guess. But this is going to be a bloody round, I'm sure. But we're sitting pretty good. I got 3 points. I feel pretty good. Relentless Aggression, tac op, way too easy in this type of matchup. Melee, we want to be in each other's face anyway. So I'm almost guaranteed to get the other point for that here. So this turning point is probably pretty much just about trying to take out as many like devotees and like the Blessed Blade, stuff like that, as much as I can. Try to just have the double killers take out as much as they can. But, you know, we'll see. Probably going to spend a lot of CP on ploys, too. So this should be an interesting one. Hopefully, this is where things get a little bit crazy. So, hopefully at the end of this turning point, I'm, you know, not, like, burnt out from dice or something. But we'll see. So, see you then.
Into the strategy phase of turning point 2, Blaine's going to start by spending a CP for Fervent Onslaught. Each time he fights in this turning point, he's going to be able to auto-retain a normal hit. Next up, I'm going to spend a CP on Violent Temperament, meaning I can give myself full dice rerolls anytime I fight in combat. Next, Blaine's going to spend a CP on Sickening Aura, so each time somebody fights or shoots while within 2 inches of one of his mutants or torments, they worsen their weapon or ballistic skill by 1. And then I will spend another CP for Ambush, so each time I change an operative from concealed to engaged, each time they fight in combat, I can retain a normal as a crit. And now Blaine is going to mutate his 2 mutants into torments. He's going to be giving them the Winged Cursed Gift, so they can ignore modifiers to their movement characteristic, and the first time they would do a traverse, drop, or climb, they can ignore the first 2 inches of it. And finally, I'm going to have my Iron Horn do the Call the Herd on the Death Knell. I'm going to be dashing the Gnarl Scar, the Death Knell, and the Tox Horn forward just a little bit to put some aggro on this point. Next up, the target reveal step. Blaine is going to reveal Route, meaning he needs to eliminate my guys while within 6 inches of my drop zone. And then I am going to reveal Executioner, and I'm going to choose my Gnarl Scar to be my Executioner, and his target for this turning point is going to be the Devotee who's right in front of him. I'm also going to reveal Eliminate Guards, choosing the Blessed Blade on the same point over by my Gnarl Scar.
To start off turning point 2, my first activation is going to be the Torment in the open. He's going to charge the Mangler. Before rolling, I get an auto hit. I then roll and get 2 normal hits. Brett then rolls and gets 2 normal hits, but we forget about Sickening Aura, which actually becomes 2 misses. On the Relentless reroll, I miss both of the other dice. Brett then uses his Relentless to get a crit and another miss. On the screen, it'll actually look like Brett has a crit and 2 hits, but in reality, those are both misses because of the injury. I then strike with my normal hit. Brett then uses his only crit to strike and deal 6 damage. I then decide to frenzy him with the remaining 2 normals. Now, because of this mistake with the injury aura, I decide to not re-roll my Feel No Pains and just take all 6 damage.
Now my time to shine. The Gnarl Scar is going to charge his Executioner targets, doing 4 or 5 damage, and with Brutal, I only need to get through 2 hits to get the kill. And on the roll, I managed to get 1 crit and 2 normal hits. With Ambush, this is going to turn into 2 crits and a hit. Blaine retains a normal hit and rolls and gets 2 more normal hits. I start by striking for 5, Blaine hits for 2, and then I kill him, scoring 1 point for Executioner. I then use the Gnarl Scar's ability to do a free shoot to throw his Crack Grenade into the Eliminate Guard's target, the Blessed Blade on the point. Again, 4 on 3s with AP 1. I only roll a crit and a hit, but I do decide to spend a CP, and I manage to roll another crit. Blaine is saving on 5s, and he does manage to save 2, however it's still going to be enough damage to take him out, scoring me my first point for Eliminate Guards. Now unfortunately this next part was a mistake on my part. I do spend a CP here on Blood Sense, thinking I can double activate a guy. Didn't realize I needed to incapacitate somebody in engagement range for this to work. I thought it was 3 inches from the person I incapacitated, so I go ahead and activate the Tox Horn. Fortunately, this doesn't make much of a difference here. I try to move my Tox Horn through this door and throw his Pox Bomb into the middle of the board. Again, looking for 3-ups to stun, starting with the Devotee behind the barricade. I get a 1, then going to the Devotee behind the door, another 1, and then to the Devotee just hiding behind the one by the door. I actually do get a 5 here, so he does take the 3 mortals and get stunned. Fortunately, this is the only thing that happens here, so that's tact ploy misplay. That's on me.
My second activation to follow this up will be the Devotee behind the barricade. He's going to charge the Frenzied Mangler and fight. I take my auto hit for Fervent Onslaught and roll my 3 extra dice. I get a crit to kill immediately and mutate into a mutant. Because he mutated into a mutant, the mutant has a GA characteristic of 1, and I don't have to fulfill the GA2 characteristic from the Devotee previously.
Alright, time for my APL boosted Gorehorn to do some work. He's going to double charge into 2 Devotees and then fight. On the first fight, he's going to roll 1 crit and 2 hits, but because of ambush, we're going up to 2 crits and a hit. Blaine does have combat support. He's going to retain his 1 normal hit, but he does miss everything else. The Gorehorn just starts by parrying his only hit and killing him. Now he does have an awesome rule where each time he incapacitates an operative, he rolls a d3 and he gains that many wounds back, and he adds that much to his critical hit damage for the rest of the game to a maximum of 8. I roll the big 6, meaning his critical hit damage is going to get maxed out right away up to a big 8. Now we spend that third APL to fight the other devotee. Basically just looking for one crit here to kill him in one shot, and I do get it.
My next activation is going to be my remaining Blessed Blade. He's going to charge the Gnarlscar and fight. I retain 1 normal and get 2 normals on the roll. Brett gets 1 crit and a hit. I hit for 4. Brett then hits for 5, and I frenzy him on the next hit.
Looking to make the Toxhorn a very annoying threat for the next turning point, the Herd Goat's just going to move up and whip him, giving him a third APL.
To follow this up, my cultist at 1 APL from the Tox Bomb is going to charge the Gorehorn in the middle of the board. With GA2, I'm going to activate the second cultist with -1 APL, and also charge him onto the Gnarlscar.
Feeling pretty good about the left and the center of the board, my Ironhorn's just going to reposition himself to move to the right side and provide a little bit more support.
My next activation is going to be my leader, who's going to move through the door and mutate the cultist on the left point into a mutant.
Alright, now the Death Knell is going to charge into the injured devotee and fight. I do manage to get 1 hit, which is going to be enough damage to take him off the board before he can even roll. This also neutralizes the point.
My 6th activation is going to be my Mind Witch, who's going to move within 2 inches of the Death Knell and perform the action Infernal Gaze. With this action, I roll a d3 plus 5 damage in mortal wounds to the target. I roll a 6, which does a total of 8 wounds, just enough to frenzy him.
Next up, the Flux Spray is just going to move dash into a more defensive position to do some charge blocking.
The Iconarch is then going to charge over the barricade into the Gorehorn and Herd Goad and activate the extra damage aura before charging. This is going to allow me to charge and fight with the Torment later in the turn and get all 5 attack dice for that combat.
Seeing that I'm going to take some attacks here in the middle, my Shaman just moves over and heals my Toxhorn. Since he's only down 1 wound, he just goes straight back to full health.
Speaking of that Torment, we're going to activate him next and charge into both the Herd Goad and Toxhorn. Now rolling with 5 attack dice again, I roll a normal hit and 3 crits with the Fervent Onslaught. I then re-roll with Relentless, giving me a 3rd hit, which then turns into a crit because of Rending. Brett then rolls 3 crits and a normal hit due to lethal 4-up on the Herd Goad. I hit with a crit, then Brett follows that up by hitting with his own crit, stunning one of my normal hits out. I frenzy with the 2nd crit. I save 1 of 3 damage from the Feel No Pains, bringing me to 11 wounds. Seeing this as an opportunity to frenzy 2 goats, I decide to spend a CP to fight a 2nd time, this time targeting the Toxhorn. Retaining my normal for Fervent Onslaught, I proceed to roll 3 misses and an additional normal hit. I then re-roll all the misses with Relentless, giving me a total of 5 regular hits. Brett gets 2 hits and a crit. Rending gives him a 2nd crit. I start by striking Brett with a normal hit, dealing 5 damage due to the Iconarch's damage buff. Brett rolls his Feel No Pains and fails all of them, proceeding to strike me with his crit, dealing 5. I save 1 of my Feel No Pains and strike him with another normal hit, dealing 5. Brett then saves no Feel No Pains and gets frenzied.
And the Vandal really likes where he's at, so he's just going to pass and keep blocking that door.
For my final activation in this turn, I decide to keep it simple and charge my freshly mutated mutant into the Gorehorn and pass.
Now, since Blaine seems to have forgotten about this lone devotee on the left of the screen here, I actually do get an Overwatch, which I take with my Frenzied Death Knell. He has a very fearsome auto pistol, now hitting on 6s with Injury and Overwatch. And as to be expected, I get no hits. And with that, Blaine just passes with that devotee, and we end the turning point. Now keep in mind, at the time we recorded this, Frenzied Goats could not control points. So at the end of this turning point, it's going to be 3 primaries to Fellgor and 2 to Chaos Cult. Point on the middle bottom is still neutral. I'm also going to score my second point for Relentless Aggression for having 5 goats within 6 inches of Blaine's operatives. It's been a pretty bloody start to the game. Cultists have lost 5 models and are down to 1 CP with a total of 6 VPs. And Fellgor are down to 9 models with a few guys frenzied, 1 CP, and a total of 9 VPs. Over to the initiative roll, I break the tie, I get a 3, and Blaine gets a 4. It's going to be over to Chaos Cultist once again for turning point 3.
Coming on to turning point 2, I started feeling not so great in the start of that turning point because Brett was getting a lot of double kills and just kind of taking objectives from me and stuff like that, making some pretty good power moves. And by the end of it, I feel really good. I have both torments, one still over half health. Actually, I think both are at 7 wounds exactly. Icon is still up. Mind Witch is still up, and the leader is still up, as well as I've got 4 of his Fellgor operatives frenzied now, which means that by the end of the turning point are going to be 4 less operatives. So I feel like this is going to be a comeback, and I'm just going to have to use torments and brute force to get through the goats and take objectives. So we'll see what happens. I don't know if I'm going to reel Robin Ransack at the end of this one or not. We will sure try though.
So the end of turning point 2, I am feeling like kind of iffy. I feel like I did pretty good. I did get a 3-2 split, so that's good. That puts me up a little bit on VPs, doing well on TAC Ops. But also at the same time, I feel like I just didn't get a lot done. And I guess that's just kind of how it feels playing into Cult. And if it wasn't for the Frenzy ability, I would definitely not be in this game anymore. So at this point, I think I might be able to force Blaine to activate his Blessed Blade first, because he's currently in engagement range with my Executioner. So if he doesn't activate there first, it's almost a guaranteed VP for me. And then it's a little bit hard to say, because he's got a lot of Torments, which are scary, of course. I can't really beat them in a fight, so it's pretty much just a matter of holding them up. And I think I just kind of have to play the VP game at this point. You know, I might lose a lot of dudes here in this turning point. I mean, I will, but it's a matter of damage control. And we'll see what he does. I don't know. He might do something crazy here to throw me off. But so end of this turning point could really, be very different. So we will see how things are going then.
Into the strategy phase of turning point 3, Blaine and I are both going to go up to 2 CP. Blaine is going to once again spend a CP for Sickening Aura to keep that minus weapon skill for the goats. I am then going to use my leader's Call of the Herd on himself just to dash him forward a little bit more right behind the Flux Spray. Blaine is then going to mutate 3 times, the first of which is going to be the mutant in engagement range of the Gorehorn that charged at the end of the last turning point. The second is going to be the Devotee on the other side of the door from the Vandal. And the last one's going to be the other Devotee who's also within engagement range of the Gorehorn. I'm also once again going to spend a CP for Violent Temperament to give myself full rerolls. And then Blaine's going to pass, and I will also pass. As for the target reveal step, we have no new TAC Ops to reveal. I do choose a new target for my Executioner, and I choose the Blessed Blade who's already in engagement range of him. And Blaine has masterfully made it so that I have no Eliminate Guard targets for this turning point.
To start off my turning point 3, the Torment in the middle is going to fight the Herd Goat. I get a crit on the first roll, killing him right away. I then repeat what I did last turning point, spending a CP to fight the Toxhorn. I get no critical hits, even with my Relentless rerolls, but I do end up managing to get 4 normal hits. I hit with a normal hit. Brett then proceeds to hit me for 5 damage, and I kill him with the second normal hit. I roll my Feel No Pains and save 1, taking the Torment down to 3 wounds. The Torment, still having a second APL, I decide to charge into the Shaman in the backline, neutralizing the objective he is standing on.
With the goats falling in the middle of the board, I'm going to try to make use of my Executioner before he is dead. Fighting the Blessed Blade, all I need is 1 hit to get the kill, and I do manage to get it, scoring me my second point for Executioner. With his second APL, he's going to shoot into the Mind Witch. On injury, he's going to be hitting on 5s. He does have rending on his pistol from the equipment, and I only get 1 hit. Blaine is able to save it, no damage goes through, and the Gnarl Scar comes off the board.
To follow this up, Torment in the middle fights the Gorehorn with all of the combat support he's getting, is now hitting on 2s. The first roll gets a crit and 2 hits, re-rolling into another crit and a hit with Relentless, which rending makes into 3 crits and 2 hits. Brett then rolls his dice and only gets a crit, but seeing how I can just parry him out and deal all the damage, he decides to re-roll everything with his ploy. He re-rolls back into the same result, 3 misses and a critical hit. I parry his critical hit with mine, and frenzy the Gorehorn. Due to still being engaged with a frenzied goat, I can do nothing but pass on my second APL with that Torment.
Now while the Gorehorn did just get frenzied, he's still not useless, so we're going to go with him next. First, he's going to fight the Iconarch, looking to get in 1 crit to get the 1-shot kill. On the first roll, I only get 1 hit, so I decide to use the Violent Temperament to reroll everything. On the reroll, I do manage to get 1 crit, thankfully enough to take out the Iconarch in 1 hit. Next, we use his second APL to fight the Mutant. Now on the first roll, I do get 2 crits, so I decide to leave it at that and see what Blaine rolls. On his first roll, he gets 2 regular hits and 2 misses with 1 reroll from Ceaseless. Seeing that he doesn't have any crits to kill me in 1 hit, I push 8 damage through and see what his 6-up Feel No Pain gives him. When all is said and done, he does save 2, keeping him at 1 wound. He has nothing to do but to hit me for 1 normal die, and then I strike him for another 8. And with that, their Gorehorn comes off the board.
I then proceed to activate my Mind Witch, who's going to climb up on the vantage point next to him, and point the Malefic Vortex token across the board to hit the Ironhorn and Flux Spray for 1 mortal wound each.
All my Death Knell can do before he dies is shoot up at the Mind Witch. Hitting on 5s here with the auto pistol, we get no hits, and he dies.
The damaged Torment up on top of the board will go next, charging into the Flux Spray and fighting. The Flux Spray is going to use the pre-parry defensive profile here. My first roll gets 2 crits and a hit, re-rolling with Relentless into another hit, totaling 3 crits and a hit with Rending. With the injury aura up, Brett gets 1 normal hit and chooses to re-roll everything with his ploy into 2 regular hits instead. Brett then chooses not to pre-parry because he wants to do as much damage as possible. I hit with a normal hit dealing 4 damage. Brett then uses a normal hit to hit for 4 damage as well, and I frenzy him on the second hit. The Feel No Pains on the Torment save 1 damage, taking him down to a total of 4 wounds remaining.
And now since my Flux Spray is going to go down, he's going to try to take the Torment down with him. Fighting back, we're using the offensive profile with Relentless, hitting on 4s now with the injury. When all rerolls are said and done, I end up with 2 crits and a hit. And Blaine ends up with 3 crits. Trying to push through 5 damage, Blaine rolls his Feel No Pain and takes exactly 4, just enough to kill this Torment.
To follow this up, my leader mutates the mutant at the edge of the building into a Torment, and moves onto the edge of the point on my side of the building.
Looking to clear up my backline some, my Ironhorn is going to charge into the Torment at 3 wounds and fight. As you can see in this totally original die footage, I do get a crit and just swing for 5 damage. After the Feel No Pain, it is enough to take him out, re-securing this point for me, this turning point.
The newly mutated Torment then moves and dashes over the building onto the objective behind it, neutralizing it.
Not wanting to fight a full health Torment, my Vandal's just going to move within 2 inches and perform his Crushing Blow ability to do a D3 plus 1 mortals to the Torment. I do roll 5, doing a total of 4 mortal wounds to him.
For my final activation of this turn, I decide to use my Mutant on the other side of the door from the Vandal to move and dash over by my leader and block the door in the middle of the board.
Lastly, my Shaman's just going to make sure I secure this point. He's just going to move dash through the door. At the end of the turning point, you can see a much clearer board now. Many things have died, and Blaine and I are both 3 and 3 on the primary. Chaos Cult certainly looking much thinner with only 5 models remaining and a total of 10 VPs. Fellgor also sitting low now at 3 models remaining but a total of 14 VPs. And initiative roll for the final turning point. I'm going to break the tie. Blaine rolls a 3, and I do manage to roll the big 6, meaning I will get initiative in the final turning point.
Okay, at the end of that turning point, my Vandal actually got to do something other than just be a roadblock, which is cool, and I think he's actually going to become huge here in this last turning point. He's set up in a way where I can get a triple charge, and with Reap 2, I'm hoping I can, 1, score a point for eliminate guards on Blaine's leader, and then also just like be really annoying and tie up his torments. Otherwise, his Psyker, his Mind Witch, it's impossible for him to kill my my Shaman on the point. So that one's mine. I'm pretty certain he's not going to be able to get there with anything else. Otherwise, I think one of his tac ops is Tear Through, is my guess. So he's got to get a couple torments within 2 of my drop zone. I think I might be able to deny it. So I guess going into this, I really just want... I can just keep 3 primaries. I'll be fine. Try to get my last one for eliminate guards. I feel all right now. That last turning point was pretty sketchy, but we're hanging in there, and hopefully at the end of this, we'll be pulling in the big W.
Going into turning point 4, what can I say? It's been a really, really close game. I have 2 tac ops that are unrevealed so far, and I feel like Brett could make a play to max his last tac op, but if he does it, I think I kind of just max my tac ops incidentally. So it could literally come down to the last couple of activations of this turning point and make a big difference. I'm thinking that I think I know what he's gonna do, but there's a couple of things that he could do, and I'll just have to react accordingly. So we'll see how it ends.
Heading into this final turning point, Blaine and I are both going to have 2 CP. I'm going to spend 1 for Ambush once again. Blaine is going to choose to spend 1 for Creatures of Nightmare, which means any point that he has a mutant or a torment on, he'll be treating me as a total of 1 less APL. And Blaine goes and mutates his 1 mutant into a torment, and his 1 torment, he heals back up to full wounds. As for the target reveal step, nothing new is revealed, and I choose Blaine's leader to be my eliminate guards target. Attempting to capitalize on that eliminate guards target, I am going to perform the fabled triple charge with the Vandal. I go ahead and fight the leader. On the charge, I'm gaining Relentless. Good thing too, because my first roll, I get 0 hits. After all the rerolls, I managed to get 3 regular hits, and because of Ambush, turning 1 of them into a crit. With all the combat support, Blaine's leader is hitting on 2s, and he does manage to get 4 regular hits. I start by striking with the crit, doing 2 mortal wounds to each of the torments. For the Feel No Pains, the one farther forward next to the door doesn't save either, and the one in the back manages to save 1. Blaine then strikes for 3 damage, and then I push through another 5, killing his leader and scoring the second point for eliminate guards.
To start off turning point 4, the torment on the point underneath the building charges the Iron Horn. I then fight with that torment, rolling 3 normal hits, re-rolling into 5 normal hits with the Relentless. Brett gets 2 hits. I then hit him for 4. He hits me for 4. I parry and frenzy the leader. This also neutralizes the objective. The Feel No Pains save 2, putting the torment down to a total of 10 wounds. I then reveal Robin Ransack on this kill.
I decide just to fight back with my leader. On injuries, he's hitting on 3s with 4-5 damage and rending. I do get a great roll here, 2 crits and 1 regular hit, so becoming 3 crits. Unfortunately, it doesn't really matter too much. After all of Blaine's rolls, he does have enough crits that I can only strike through 5 damage, and then he's going to take me out. And with the Feel No Pain, he saves 2 of it, only taking 3, going down to 7 wounds.
To To follow this up, my Mind Witch is going to move off of the vantage point that he is standing on, giving the Shaman -1 APL and neutralizing the objective.
Since my Shaman essentially can't control this point at the moment, I feel like it was better to just use the 1 APL to move to a spot where I can block these other torments and also set myself up for an overwatch.
I then activate the Torment, who is farther up the board, fighting the Vandal on 3 ups because of combat support. I get 2 crits and 3 hits, and end up re-rolling the 3 because of Relentless, and me forgetting I had combat support, which is unfortunate because I re-roll it into a miss. Brett gets a crit and a hit on 4 ups. I decide to hit him with the crit for 5 damage. Brett hits me back for 5 damage, and does Reap 2 on the other Torment. I then hit with another crit to frenzy the Vandal. The Feel No Pains on the Torment that fought end up saving 1 of the 5 damage, putting that Torment down to 7 wounds remaining. The Feel No Pains from the Reap on the other Torment don't save any, putting that Torment down to 10 total wounds.
Alright, time for the big overwatch. This is just an auto pistol hitting on 5s. I get an incredible roll, 3 crits and a miss. I have to just spend a CP here and try to make it all hits. Unfortunately, no such luck on the 4th hit, but that's okay. Blaine does roll 1 crit save, meaning it's only going to be 6 damage. After the Feel No Pain, it's only 5 damage, taking that Torment down to 2.
To finish out my last activation, I activate the last remaining Torment, who's going to fight the Vandal. I get 1 hit to start it off, re-rolling with Relentless to get 2 regular hits in addition. Brett then gets 2 hits hitting on 5 ups. I hit for 4 damage. Brett's Vandal hits back for 5, and I kill with the second hit. I then roll my Feel No Pains for the damage, saving 1, putting the Torment down to 6 wounds remaining, and that Torment does a little scoochy scooch onto the objective. At the end of the battle, I reveal Tear Through, which is my faction tack-up, requiring me to get 2 Torments within 2 inches of the enemy drop zone, each being worth 1 VP apiece. I only get 1 VP from this tack-up though.
And with that, we have the end of the game. We've got Chaos Cult with 12 primary, 5 secondary, only 4 models left, and 17 VP. On the other side, Fellgor, 10 primaries, 6 secondaries, only 1 model left, and 16 VPs. An incredibly close game.
Welcome to the post-game battle reports. We just finished up our Fellgor and Cult game. 1 point difference, very close. Blaine, why are you the way you are?
It was your idea.
I think it actually was.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure.
So this matchup was our little idea about a month and a half ago for a little Halloween special that we were gonna do. Creepy Fellgor versus cultists, and it just didn't end up happening. So this video is probably not gonna be out for.
Anyways, Merry Christmas.
Yeah, Merry Christmas. May of yours or Happy Halloween. I'm not gonna judge.
It's hard. Editing is hard. So
yeah.
You get it when you get it, I guess.
But Happy Valentine's Day.
Got it. Anyways, so super close game, obviously. And of course we played Capture, which is interesting.
Probably arguably the best for Cult.
Probably, yeah.
Yeah.
Especially with the recent nerf to Fellgor, Frenzy not being able to control points.
Yeah.
Also
That's pretty big.
has an impact. So but all things considered, at least on my side of things, for most of the game, I just wasn't sure how to feel. Because I kept feeling like that I was like doing stuff, but then it just didn't feel like it. Like I'd look at the board and there's just other things that could happen. And I guess that's good. I guess that was like, a good close game. But it was odd. I had just a roller coaster of emotions through the whole thing.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. I think I felt probably the opposite. Into the first turning, or like most of the first turning point, I was a little upset about the failed crack. Right, like that statistically at least should have gone through 1 hit, right? But I was like, okay, whatever, it happens. I've got bodies. He can't shoot me off the board turning point 1, so I'm good. Turning point 2 started really strong in your favor, and then I feel like it ended pretty strong in my favor based on just positioning and future like mutations and stuff like that. So I felt pretty good. into turning point 3, I felt extremely good. And then by the end of it, it was like, okay, what do I need to do to kind of close out this game? And by the end of the 4th turning point, I think the dice rolls kind of helped me out just pushing it through. So
yeah, we determined that, I mean, it was so close. Even with that final auto pistol roll, if it would have killed your torment,
yeah,
that would have been enough.
If you would have done 2 more damage to the torment, it would have been enough to, it would have swung it back, and it would have swung it tied. No, it would have tied, because I wouldn't have gotten the 1 point on tear through, and I wouldn't have actually capped that point. So it would have been in your favor by 1.
Yeah.
So, which was an immaculate roll anyway. So you're lucky.
It really was. So I mean, I won't go into too much about it, but you know, that's fine. It's a dice game. Came down to dice roll. That's fine. I think we both played really well. So
yeah, I definitely think that's kind of where the strength of like most of the top teams lies, is being able to consistently get your dice rolls well. And I'm not sure if Fellgor can. Right, it feels weird with having the ploy to reroll everything and having some ceaseless here or one thing relentless here or there. Like,
yeah,
like, and I feel like that's just kind of the top teams right now is Cult, Breachers right now. I think Harlequins are still pretty much up there because of how much dice manipulation they can have and stuff like that. So, you know, it is what it is, and I think Fellgor are probably in a good spot now. I don't think they need to be buffed.
Yeah.
Like GW is saying.
Of course, by the time you're seeing this, it's probably already happened.
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah. You know, who knows? It might be super minor and super maybe you know, not important, but yeah, maybe
or it could be huge. But
I guess one thing I did want to touch up on is how did you like the map? Because Ethan behind the scenes built the map for us. I feel like not having to worry about one team getting shot off the board. Turning point 1 helps a lot with building the map, and I think he did a really nice job.
No, I think so too. I thought it was great. The having the doorways and things in all the buildings too.
Yeah, I think
us a lot.
Most of the doorways were in pretty good spots. I think almost every single one of them got used. At some point in the game. And I think there was enough cover on all the objectives that it really didn't matter too much. Like it wasn't super in favor one way or the other. So.
Yeah, I mean, it felt very even, and honestly, even if one of us had like a little bit more shooting, it still probably would have been.
Yeah, I think we might have had to play a little bit more passively, but I feel like it probably would.
As far as a melee, like an all-out war, I think it was pretty good. And obviously,
lots of blood.
There was a lot of blood, and we had just so much going on in the middle of the board too that it was like, I think that was another reason it felt so crazy, was because there was so much going on.
There was a lot going on.
It's so hard to know where.
For me specifically, Fellgor is like a weird specialist melee team because every single operative does something weird and different.
Yeah.
And it's a little mind-racking when you're playing a melee team and you have to remember what this operative does, and how could this operative influence this side of the board, but not just in melee, right? Like, and that's, I think, the difference between cults. Like Colt and Fellgor's Colt is just wants to kill. There's nothing really specialist going on, so it's a little bit less to have to worry about on your end, I guess, right? Like, speaking of terrain, though, I'm gonna showcase one of these pieces. So this is some cool terrain that Dakota at Luster Workshop in California gave us to test out. It is completely modular and can be doubled as open board or into the dark. So it is super cool. It is on his Etsy, I know, right now. So go check it out. He's got some awesome stuff, acrylic tokens, terrain, like all sorts of stuff. It's all made with MDF. So it's really nice quality. It's not going to like shatter or crack or anything on you. It's super easy. And then one other thing that we were shouting out is these little measuring gauges. We met a person at Kansas City Open. His name is Josh Hampton, and it is a little late. I'm sorry about that. We've been trying to get videos out and figure out the right instance to do this. But we had a little deal with him, so he made us a whole bunch of these little 3-inch, 1-inch, and 2-inch measuring gauges. And his Etsy store is dragonflight.shop at Etsy. And he does some conceal and engage tokens, the measuring tools. He does bases, all like 3D print and resin work. So it's super cool. you guys go check them out. We'll have some more info and later this in this video, a little extra clip and stuff like that. So, but I mean, anything else from you?
Oh, no.
Yeah, I think that pretty much covers it. As always, like, share, subscribe, comment, click that bell icon to be notified when we come out with a new battle report, because it's always awesome getting you guys' feedback and seeing the views go up, because we're still relatively new and growing. So,
yeah.
But otherwise, let us know what matchups you want to see, and we will make it happen. So, everybody, enjoy the rest of your day.
Dragon Feather Shop sets out to become a great destination for handmade wargame, board game, nerdy, and pop culture products. As a family-owned business, they've been selling hand-sculpted resin-cast wargame bases on eBay for over a decade, and now they're spreading their wings and introducing new products. One of their newest creations are these 3D printed measuring tools that are designed with kill team enthusiasts in mind. These lightweight yet sturdy tools come on a chain for easy access during your games, with clear square, triangle, and circle symbols for kill team. Precision measuring has never been easier. You can choose from one of their faction-specific designs, or go all out with a custom design tailored just for you, like these exclusive 6-sided Legion ones. Swing by their website and discover the handmade wonders of Dragon Feather Shop. You can find them by going to dragonfeather.shop or by searching Dragon Feather Shop.